we are going to start with today's topic of crystal field splitting. The approach towards the topic will be, we will first start with the limitations of valence bond theory. That is why we are moving towards crystal field theory. Valence bond theory, it could not explain. Valence bond theory, it could not explain the concept of color in complexes. Transition metal compounds, they are colored in nature. Why the color is due to? That was not explained by valence bond theory. Second, it could not explain magnetic properties of complexes. It could not explain the magnetic properties of complexes. So what were the limitations of valence bond theory? Why we are moving towards crystal field theory? Because some answers were not given by this theory. Main point was why the transition metal ions and their complexes, they are colored. Why they are magnetic in the behavior. That is why strong ligands and weak ligands behave differently. Why strong ligands and weak ligands behave differently. These three concepts were not introduced by the valence bond theory. So therefore, we approach towards a new topic, and that new topic or the new theory was crystal field theory. Why we approach towards this theory? This was because these 3 points were not explained by the concept of valence bond theory. The color in complexes, the magnetic behavior, why strong and weak ligands they behave differently, and how you will explain the concept of their magnetic moments. Strong and weak field complexes, they have different magnetic moments. How this concept was explained? To explain this concept, we introduced into a new topic, that is crystal field theory. This topic was given by John Black and Hayes. These were the two scientists who introduced the concept of crystal field theory. The main assumptions of this theory are, what were the main assumptions that they posed? These were the main points that they were assuming to explain this theory. The first assumption was metal ion and ligands are considered point charges. There are few points which are different from their approach towards valence bond theory. They consider that the metal ion and ligands are point charges. If they are point charges, the interaction between metal ion and ligands is electrostatic. Interaction between metal ion and ligand is electrostatic. That is ionic interaction. That is ionic interaction. And this ionic interaction includes attractive forces as well as repulsive forces. So there are two types of interactions, attractive as well as repulsive. Third point can be that ligands, they are of two types. Ligands, they are of two types. They are neutral ligands and they are negatively charged ligands. So the metal ion is basically positively charged, and negatively charged ligands. So between metal and the negatively charged ligands, there will be ionic interactions. When the ligands, they will approach the metal ion, if it is a negatively charged ligand, it will face ionic interaction from the metal ion. But if it is a neutral ligand, neutral means it has no charge. Then how to explain the interaction between metal ion and ligand? For neutral ligand, there will be dipole interactions. So the first point that was assumed by these scientists in the crystal field theory, it is that the interaction between metal ion and ligands is ionic. There is electrostatic interactions, and we are considering the metal ion and ligands as point charges. The metal ion being a positively charged, whereas the negatively charged ligands, they have pure ionic interactions, but with neutral ligands, there occurs dipole interactions. That means the metal ion and the ligand, if it is negative, this will be purely ionic interaction. And if it is neutral ligand, it will be ionic and dipole. That means it will be ion dipole interaction. So we have assumed that the interaction between the metal ion and ligands are ionic in nature. That interactions, they are basically categorized as pure ionic interactions or they are ion dipole interactions. The first point that we have considered is, in crystal field theory, the interaction between the metal ion and ligands is ionic. For metal ion and negatively charged ligands, they are pure ionic interactions. But for metal ion and neutral ligand, they are ion dipole interactions. This concept is totally different from the valence bond theory. This concept is totally different from valence bond theory. The basic difference between the two can be that in crystal field theory, we are considering the metal ion and ligand as ionic interactions, whereas in valence bond theory, the interaction between metal and ligand was considered purely covalent. The basic approach towards the theory is different. The basic approach towards the theory is different. One theory assumes that the metal and the ligand, they are purely covalent interacted. Other theory assumes that the metal ion and ligand, they are ionic in nature. If they are ionic in nature, we are saying that they are showing ionic interactions for metal and negatively charged, whereas for metal and neutral ligands, it is ion dipole interactions. The basic approach of the two theories is different. So crystal field theory is basically a theory which is used to explain the limitations of valence bond theory. Limitations of valence bond theory were, it could not explain color in the complexes, it could not explain the magnetic behavior, it could not explain the difference between a strong and a weak ligand. To explain these differences, we have approached a new theory in which the interaction between the metal ion and the ligand is considered ionic. Before introducing into the topic, we have to explain the concept of orientation of d orbitals. Before I approach the main theory, I have to explain the orientation of the d electron cloud. There are basically 5 d orbitals. And the d orbitals, they are of same energy. That is, they are degenerate d orbitals. Degenerate d orbital means the orbitals having orbitals of equal energies. In metal and the metal ion, all the 5d orbitals are of same energy. What are the 5d orbitals? These are dxy, dyz, dzx. And another set is dx square minus y square and dz square. So we are considering these 5d orbitals which are of same energy, which are degenerate in case of metal and in case of a metal ion. So these are degenerate d orbitals in case of free metal and metal ion. So all the 5d orbitals are degenerate, that is, they are of same energies. So what are the shapes of the d orbitals? What is their orientation of electron densities? If we considered these three orbitals, that is dxy, yz and zx, these orbitals have electron density in between the axes. This is the basic difference. This is the basic difference. The shape and the orientation of electron cloud, it is different. The orbitals in these three have electron density in between the axes, whereas in case of dx square minus y square and dz square, the electron density is on the axis. So electron density on the axis and electron density in between the axes, that is, if I consider three orbitals, one is dxy, dyz and dzx. This is x, this is y. So dxy, dyz, dzx. Other is dx square minus y square and dz square. So if we consider the shape of dx square minus y square, electron density is present on the axis. Electron density is present on the axis. This is your x-axis and this is your y-axis. So electron density is present on the x and y-axis. In case of dz square, this is double shaped. Dz square has a different shape. It has a concentric ring in the xy plane. Now this is dz square. This is dx square minus y square. So electron density is on the axis. Electron density is on the axis. So here also electron density is on the z-axis and the ring is present in xy plane. Whereas in case of these three, electron density is present in between the axis. Electron density is present in between the axis. Electron density is present in between the axis. So basic approach of the basic orientation of the electron cloud, it is different. If we consider this is dxy, this is dyz and this is dzx. So electron density is present in the plane of x and y. Electron density is present in the plane of yz and in the plane of zx. Over here the electron cloud is on the axis. Over here the electron cloud is on the axis. So this is the main point that we are to consider before we start the concept of crystal field splitting. The orientation of electron density in case of d subshell is different. These three orbitals dxy, dyz and dzx, they behave differently. That is, they have a different orientation of electron cloud. Whereas dx square minus y square and dz square, they have a different orientation of electron cloud. So this should be very much clear in your minds before we introduce into the topic. The orientation of electron density in case of metal ion is different. Some have electrons which are present in between the axes at an angle of, electron density is present at an angle of 45 degrees. Whereas over here, electron density is present at an angle of 0 degree. So electron density in case of dx square minus y square and dz square is present at an angle of 0 degree, whereas in these cases electron density is present at an angle of 45 degrees, and this is the basic difference. So I think this much is clear to you. The orientation of electron density in case of d orbitals is totally different. 3 orbitals behave like one, 2 orbitals behave like second. So there are now two sets which behave differently in terms of their orientation. So if this is quite clear to you, now we can pursue what's the concept of the main theory. Orientation of electron density. The d orbitals are totally degenerate. That is, they have same energies. The d orbitals, they have same energies in case of free metal ion and in case of metal. In case of metal and in case of free metal ion, the d orbitals are totally degenerate. That is, they have similar energies. But when the ligands approach, then we will have a different concept. Now we will move into the main theory. Main theory is crystal field splitting. Crystal field splitting in case of octahedral complex. There are basically 3 cases that can be discussed. Octahedral complex, that is, metal is approached by 6 ligands. Tetrahedral complex. Tetrahedral complex, metal is approached by 4 ligands. And there is a third case. In coordination number 4, basically there are 2 types of geometries. In coordination number 4, there are 2 types of geometries. One is square planar, other is tetrahedral. Both are basically having coordination number 4. So 3 different cases can be considered. Rather, if you want to explain, this can also be explained in terms of distorted octahedral. Distorted octahedral, this can also be another concept. So this concept of crystal field theory can be explained under these headings. So one of the first heading that I will go into is in case of octahedral complexes. Octahedral complex means that 6 ligands are approaching the metal ion. 6 ligands are approaching the metal ion. 6 ligands are approaching the metal ion in octahedral orientation or octahedral geometry. So before we pursue into this, so I will explain it one by one. So I will take the first case, that is crystal field splitting in case of octahedral complex. So how you will explain the concept of crystal field splitting in octahedral? So you have to just assume that this is a metal ion. This metal ion is basically oriented in a 3-dimensional plane. This is your metal ion. Now there are 6 ligands are approaching a metal ion. 6 ligands are approaching a metal ion, and octahedral geometry is ligands or the orientation. This is metal and these are the ligands. There are 6 ligands which are placed at an angle of 90 degree each. This is the octahedral geometry. 6 ligands are arranged at an angle of 90 degree each. This can only be possible if 2 ligands approach on one axis, one from either end. 2 ligands are approaching along x-axis, 2 ligands are approaching along y-axis, and 2 ligands are approaching along z-axis. That means 6 ligands are approaching this metal ion. 6 ligands are approaching this metal ion. So this is basically orientation. How the ligands are approaching a metal ion. How the ligands are approaching a metal ion in an octahedral complex. Now, one or two things that you must be knowing, because it is an ionic interaction. It means first step will be metal ion, it is positively charged. Answer is yes. Metal ion is positively charged. These ligands can be of two types. Either they are negatively charged or they will be neutral. In both cases, interaction, the first interaction, metal ion and the ligands, the first interaction which will be metal ion and the ligands. Either it will be ionic interaction, either it will be a ionic interaction, or in case of negative ligand, in case of neutral ligand, it will be a ion dipole interaction. So metal ion and the ligands, now when they are approaching each other, what will occur? When the ligands are approaching the metal ion at 90 degree each, that is, two ligands are approaching on each axis. Each axis is at angle of 90 each. So there are 6 ligands which are oriented at an angle of 90 degree each. So this will give you an octahedrogeometry. Now when 6 ligands are approaching, what will happen? This is a metal ion and this is a ligand. The first interaction between the metal ion and ligand will be, attractive interaction. This will be a attractive interaction. That is, the metal attracts the cloud of ligands, negative cloud or a dipole. The ligand and the metal ion, they will have attractive interaction, due to which ligand will approach towards the metal ion. This is first interaction. But as the ligand is approaching the metal ion, there is attractive forces, it is now approaching the metal ion. At a particular distance, the ionic interactions which were attractive in nature, at a particular distance, these interactions, they will also show their repulsive interactions will start. There will be attractive interactions, yes, due to which ligands are approaching. At a particular distance, the metal ion and the ligands, they will start repulsive interactions. Now, how this repulsive interaction will start? The repulsive interaction is because the ligands, they have charges. Answer is yes. Metal ion also has d orbitals which have electrons. So metal ion has d orbitals which have electrons. So there is repulsive interaction between electrons in d subshell of metal ion. There is repulsive interaction between electrons in the d subshell of metal ion and electron cloud of ligands. So it means now there are basically two types of interactions which a ligand and a metal are experiencing. First interaction between the two will be attractive. Answer is yes. At the same time, when ligands approach at a particular distance, now the d orbitals, now there are two types of d orbitals. One d orbital is present in between the axis. One d orbital is present on the axis. There are two sets of d orbitals. One of the sets of d orbitals have electron density on the axis. One set of d orbitals have electron density in between the axis. So this is dxy, dyz and dzx. And this will be dx square minus y square and dz square. I have just shown one of the lobes. So this lobe is of those d orbitals which have electron density on the axis, and this cloud, this orientation, this is basically a lobe of dxy, dyz and dzx which have electron density in between the axis. Now one point should be quite clear in your mind. Ligands are approaching on the axis. One point is ligands are approaching on the axis. This is first point. This is now quite important. What is actually happening in this case? There are two forces which are operating at the same time. First, ligands and metal, they have strong attractive interactions, due to which ligand is coming closer to the metal. Due to attraction, energy is released. System is quite stable. But at the same time, ligands, they have lone pair or they have negative charge. The electron cloud of ligand and the electron cloud of the metal ion, because metal ion also has some electrons in the d subshell. So this electron cloud of metal and electron pair of the ligands, they will experience some repulsive interactions. Now due to repulsion, what happens? Due to repulsion, energy is increased. Due to repulsion, energy increases. Energy increases of the complex, of the system. What I am saying is, metal ion is in the center. Ligands are approaching towards the metal ion. There occurs ionic interactions which are of two types. First, there will be attractive interaction when the ligand approaches a metal ion. There occurs ionic interaction which is attractive forces. Now it is stabilizing the system. Second point is, at a particular distance, when the ligands have come quite closer to the metal ion, now the electron cloud of the ligand and the electrons in the d subshell of the metal ion, they will experience second interaction. Now that interaction will be repulsive. So two interactions are occurring. One is attractive interactions, another is repulsive interactions. Attractive interactions are same for all ligands. Attractive interactions are same for all ligands. All ligands are equally attracted. But repulsive interactions, they are unequal. Repulsive interactions are unequal. Why they are unequal? Because some ligands, the d orbitals which are present on the axis, it will experience these d orbitals, which dx square minus y square and dz square, they will experience greater repulsion. They will experience greater repulsion since electron density is present on the axis. And these three orbitals, dxy, dyz, dzx, they will experience less repulsion because electron density is present in between the axis. So it is quite simple. If someone comes directly in contact with you, they will have greater repulsion. If someone passes quite away from you, you will experience less repulsion. This is social distancing. More you are quite in contact with the person, there will be greater interaction. You are quite away from that person, you will experience less repulsion. So repulsion will be unequal. But repulsion will start. Repulsion will start between the electron cloud and the d orbitals of the metal ion. So due to repulsion, energy of the system will increase. Now what will happen? Now this is the concept that I am going to explain why there occurs splitting. D orbitals in the metal ion, they are degenerate, that we have explained. The d orbitals of the metal ions, they are of same energy. Answer is yes. In case of metal, they are of same energy. In case of metal ion, free metal ion, they are of same energy. When the ligands approach, there occurs attractive interaction. Yes, it will stabilize. At the same time, there occurs repulsive interaction. Yes, this interaction is equal, this interaction is unequal. Due to unequal interaction, there occurs splitting. Due to unequal repulsion, there occurs, due to repulsion, energy of the system will increase. Hence, to stabilize the system, or to minimize this repulsion, to stabilize the system or minimize the repulsion, there occurs splitting of d subshell. So we are now going to explain What is crystal field splitting? What is crystal field splitting? That I am going to explain. Why splitting occurs? D orbitals should have same energy. Why the D orbitals, they break into two sets? Because repulsion is unequal. Those ligands which lie on the axis, they will experience greater repulsion. Those which are present in between the axis, they will experience less repulsion. Now, due to this repulsion factor which is incoming into the system becomes slightly unstable. Every system tries to stabilize itself. Now to stabilize itself, there occurs splitting of D subshell. There occurs splitting of D subshell, which is called crystal field splitting. So what I was explaining to you was, what is crystal field splitting? This was the concept that I was explaining. I just narrate it again. You have a metal line. This metal line is surrounded by 6 ligands at an angle of 90 degrees each to make it a octahedral complex. Now when 6 ligands are approaching, they are approaching on the axis. That is, 2 ligands are approaching on each axis. To make it a octahedral geometry, 2 ligands are approaching on each axis. Now this is your metal line and ligands are approaching on the axis. Now we know that orientation of the D cloud is not uniform. There are 3 orbitals which have electron density in between the axis, and there are 2 orbitals which have electron density on the axis. So when the ligands are approaching, there will be direct repulsion from those orbitals which are on the axis, and the ligands which are present in between the axis and the orbitals which are present in between the axis, they will experience less repulsion. So there is equal attraction but unequal repulsion. Greater attraction, but repulsion has started. At a greater distance, attractive forces are dominating, but when it comes quite closer, now repulsive forces come into play. And these repulsive forces are not same. Those orbitals which have electron density in between the axes, they will experience less repulsion because they will not directly face the ligand. Whereas those orbitals which are present on the axis will experience greater repulsion because they are present on the axis. Due to this repulsion, the system becomes slightly unstable. To stabilize the system, the d orbitals have to break into 2 sets. This splitting of the d orbital when the ligands approach is called crystal field splitting. That means one thing should be noted: splitting of d subshell occurs in presence of metal ion. Splitting of d subshell occurs in presence of metal ion. Splitting of d subshell occurs in presence of ligands. Splitting of d subshell occurs in presence of ligands. That is, degeneracy of d subshell. Degeneracy of d subshell is lost. So free metal ion is degenerate. All the d orbitals are of same energy, they are degenerate. But in presence of a ligand, due to repulsion, system becomes unstable. To stabilize it, system will have to break. Why the system breaks? To minimize the repulsion. The system tries to acquire a state of minimum energy. It has gained some energy due to repulsion. But to minimize the repulsion, it breaks up into 2 sets. And this splitting of the d subshell into 2 sets is called crystal field splitting. So what actually the diagram looks like, that I am going to explain. So this total is the generalized concept. How the metal ion and the ligands are interacting. Metal ion and the ligands are attracting attractively, answer is a strong yes. But at a particular distance, the interaction becomes repulsive. Is attraction equal? Answer is yes. Is repulsion equal? Answer is no. Which experience greater repulsion? Which comes directly in contact with the ligands? Which are those d orbitals which are present on the axis? Why? Because ligand is approaching on the axis. Those orbitals which are present in between the axes, they will not experience greater repulsion. So repulsion occurs in the system. Due to repulsion, system becomes unstable. To minimize the repulsion, d orbital has to break. This breaking of the d into two sets to minimize the repulsion is called crystal field splitting. I think I get my point. I have explained the concept of crystal field splitting. Now, how does the diagram looks like? How does the concept of crystal field splitting occurs in case of d subshell? That can be explained. So what actually occurs is, this is your d subshell. All the d orbitals are of same energy. So this is my degenerate. This is my degenerate d orbitals. Degenerate means of same energy. This is your my energy axis. These orbitals are dxy, dyz, dzx, dx square minus y square, and dz square. All the 5d orbitals, they are of same energy. This is my metal, pure metal. What happens when you remove an electron from a metal? It becomes a free metal ion. It becomes a free metal ion. This is a metal ion having some charge. The d orbitals, they are still of same energy. That is, still they remain degenerate d orbitals. So they are again degenerate d orbitals. That is, they are of similar energy. This is also degenerate d orbitals. This is also similar energy. Now what happens in approach of ligands? That is, when ligands approach. When ligands approach. So when the ligands approach, now you have to tell me where the ligands are approaching. Orientation is important. 3D structure is important. When ligands approach on the axis, how many ligands are approaching? There are 6 ligands are approaching on the axis. That is, we are considering ML6. Now what happens is, we know that energy of universe is always conserved. These d orbitals, they are of uniform, they are same energy. Answer is yes. There occurs equal attraction. Answer is yes. There occurs unequal repulsion. Answer is yes. Due to unequal repulsion, system becomes unstable. Yes. To stabilize the system, d will break. Now d will break into two sets. D will break into two sets. Average energy remains the same. This is barycenter. Average energy is same. One set is raised in energy, another set is lowered in energy, but overall energy is the same. The orbitals which are present on the axis, orbitals which are present on the axis, orbitals which are present on the axis, their energy is raised because they experience greater repulsion. They come face to face with the ligand. The orbitals which are present in between the axis, they experience less repulsion. So they are present in between the axis. So those d orbitals which are present on the axis will experience greater repulsion. These are two orbitals. What are these two orbitals? dx square minus y square and dz square. And what are these orbitals? These are dxy, dyz and dzx. This splitting of the d into two sets is called crystal field splitting, and it is represented by del naught. What is this del naught? This del naught is crystal field stabilization energy which is released to make the system stable. So this is crystal field stabilization energy in octahedral complex. O represents the octahedral. Now those systems which are raised in energy, they will experience greater repulsion. Energy is raised. that energy of the system is plus 6 dq, or it is del naught. That is, this system is destabilized. Plus sign in chemistry means destabilization. Minus sign in chemistry means stabilization. So those orbitals which are those orbitals, those d orbitals, that is dxy, dyz, dzx, which experience greater attraction, they are more stabilized as compared to those d orbitals which experience greater repulsion. So this will experience less repulsion, this will experience more repulsion. They will be raised in energy, they will be lowered in energy. Difference in energy between the two will be 0.6 dq, and this will be 0.0 del naught. So this will be your barycenter. The units of delta naught is centimeter inverse. Units of del naught is centimeter inverse. This set of two orbitals is called Eg. This set of two orbitals is called T2g. Now this E means doublet. So these are Mulliken symbols. When we express, when there is a single orbital, we say it is singlet. When we have two sets, this is called doublet. Doublet is represented by E. When we have three orbitals combined, it is called triplet. It is called T. So these symbols are basically derived. This is E and this is T2. This represents a triplet and this represents a doublet. G here represents center of symmetry. G here represents, what are all these symbols? All these symbols have their significance. This represents center of symmetry because octahedral is a symmetrical geometry. Octahedral is a symmetrical geometry. It has a center of symmetry. That means all those geometries which are symmetric, they will be expressed by a symbol of G. What does this E means? That means two orbitals. What does this T2 means? It means set of three orbitals. So there are splitting of desumption in presence of ligands into two sets. One is a triplet, one is a doublet, one is T2g, one is EG. Greater the interaction. So this splitting of D into two sets is crystal field splitting, and this crystal field splitting, it depends upon some factors. That will be again a different lecture. But one of the factor is ligand strength. Which ligand is approaching? Whether it's a strong ligand or it's a weak ligand. If the ligand is strong, splitting will be more. This diagram will be like this. Greater splitting will occur. If ligand is weak, splitting will be less. So splitting of the D occurs in presence of ligand, and the magnitude of the splitting, it depends upon the strength of the ligand. Magnitude of the splitting depends upon the strength of the ligand. So how to calculate this crystal field splitting? To calculate the crystal field splitting, we have a formula minus number of electrons in T2g minus, or we can take minus over here, this is 0.4 del naught. This is number of electrons in T2g. This is minus means stabilization energy. And number of electrons in Eg. This is plus 0.6 del naught. How to calculate crystal field stabilization energy? Count the number of electrons over here. 1, 2, 3. You know each orbital contains 2 electrons. So total stabilization will be 2, 4, 6. Put over here, maximum value of this will be 6. 6 into 0.4. Minus 2.4 is the stabilization energy. And there will be maximum of 4 electrons. 4 into 0.6, it will be plus 2.4. So minus 2.4 plus 2.4, net answer will be 0. So if net answer is 0, that means it will be at the barycenter. So concept says how to calculate crystal field splitting. Number of electrons, what does this represent? N represents number of electrons in T2g. It can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maximum 6. And what does this represent? This represents number of electrons in Eg. This will be maximum of 4 plus n into P. This is again a term. What does this n represents? N is number of electrons in pairing. The number of pairing. Number of pairing. How much pairing will occur? This can be calculated if we calculate from D1 to D10, different configurations, this value of n will be different. That will be calculated in a different topic. So this is a whole concept of crystal field splitting in octahedral. We have a metal which is degenerate. All the 5d orbitals are of same energy. When it becomes a metal ion, still the orbitals are of same energy, they are degenerate. But when a ligand approaches a metal ion, there occurs repulsion at a particular distance. That repulsion depends upon the orientation of the D cloud. There are two types of orientations. One cloud is present on the axis, one cloud is present in between the axis. Since ligands are approaching on the axis, therefore this set which have electron density on the axis will experience greater repulsion and will be raised in energy. And this set will experience less repulsion and will be lowered in energy. Due to repulsion, the system becomes unstable. To stabilize the system, there has to be splitting. Why splitting occurs? The question which can be put is, why splitting occurs? And this is the main point which I am explaining. Why splitting occurs? Does it depend upon the nature of ligand? Answer is yes. Splitting occurs to minimize the repulsion. This is point number 1. If a ligand is strong, splitting will be more. If ligand is weak, splitting will be less. That splitting of d orbitals into two sets is called crystal field splitting, and due to which energy gap is created. This energy gap between T2G and Eg is called crystal field splitting, or the energy is called crystal field stabilization energy. How to calculate this energy? Here minus means stabilization, plus means destabilization. N means number of electrons in T2G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 can be maximum. NEG means number of electrons in EG, maximum can be 4. This is minus 2.4 maximum plus 2.4 maximum, net answer will be 0. But we have also to count number of pairings which occur. That will depend upon the configuration. That will depend upon the nature of ligand also. That will be a different topic in which we can calculate the value of CFSC. So this is a whole topic of crystal field splitting in octahedral complexes. As I have said, that this topic basically starts with splitting in octahedral. Now we can pursue it to tetrahedral also. Then we can move to square planar, distorted octahedral. So this is a large topic which covers a lot of efforts. So first I have just explained the concept of crystal field splitting in octahedral complexes, and this is a brief concept and this is the calculation.